So this chapter talks about supply chain management objective and strategy. An objective is what you want to achieve at the end of the day. And strategy basically gives us the plan or the ploy that you are going to use to achieve some of these objectives. So different organizations have different strategies or they have different plans. And the main purpose is to ensure at the end of the day, the main focus is to be able to achieve their objective using the strategy that they have. And strategy will help you to become competitive in the competitive industry or the work or business environment. So different authors have defined strategy in different ways. And according to Hinz 2006, strategy is a fundamental pattern of present and future planned objectives, resource deployment, and interaction of organization with the market, competitors, and other factors. So we are saying it is a fundamental pattern of the present and future planned objectives. So this objective, you must have them and you must have planned for them in the present so that the objective will help you in the future. And once you have the objective in place, you need to have resources that are deployed to achieve that objective in the organization. Then the issue of interaction of organization also is very, very important. And when you're talking about interaction, we are talking about interaction with the market, interaction with the competitors, and other environmental factors. Remember, you are not alone in the industry. And by so doing, then it means we have other players who are also playing in the same industry that you are in. And this will help you to become better and better every day. Just a minute. So we are saying for you to be competitive, therefore, you need to have a plan in place. And this plan must be a workable plan. So what are the components of a strategy? What are the components of a strategy? The first component of a strategy is the scope. You need to have a scope. What is the strategy going to cover? What is the scope? What is the timeline for this strategy? And most organizations have a 5-year strategic plan, maybe a 10-year strategic plan. Strategy can either be, most strategies are long-term strategies. Then the second component of a strategy is goals and objectives. What will this strategy achieve at the end of the day? What are the goals of this strategy? You need to understand and you need to basically align your strategies with your objectives. Then the other thing or the other component that is very important is resource deployment. So for strategy to succeed, you need to have some resources. And resources can be looked at in 3 ways, where we have the financial resource, which is the money that is needed to implement some of these strategies. We can also look at the human resource or the human capital. And these are the people who are going to drive your agenda to achieving these goals. Then the last resource is the physical resources. And these are the items or the materials or the infrastructure that is needed to drive your strategy to the next level. Then the other thing or the other component is identification of sustainable competitive advantage. So you need to get some advantage or a plan that is going to work for you effectively. And that plan is going to be your strategic plan that will help you to be competitive in the industry, because different organizations have also their own strategy of doing things. And for you to succeed, you also need to come up with your own strategy of doing things for you to become competitive. Then you need to work in synergy with other key stakeholders so that you have at least one vision for the organization. And synergy can be in form of maybe aligning your processes so that at least your partners know what you really want to do, or your partners understand your driving force or your objective at the end of the day, so that they can work in line with what you want to achieve. According to Hinz, strategy has several properties which include concern for both the organization and the environment. So you need to look at what is working within the organization and also what is the impact of what is inside the organization to the environment, so that you do not harm the environment in any way, and you also do things that are going to improve the environment around. Then the issue of complexity also is very critical. And complexity, we are looking at strategy as a way of coming up with different ways of achieving your goals, so that you are all round in the organization's strategy. Then it is both content and process. So you need to understand your processes and what is in those processes, so that you can maximize your operations based on the processes that you have. And these processes are supposed to work for you, not to work against you. So you need to look at the process that is very, very effective. It also involves different thoughts and processes. And remember, this is a strategy. And strategy, we have different strategies or plans, and different departments have their own strategy. So you need to come up with processes of aligning all these strategies into one strategic plan for the organization. Then it also exists in different levels, where we have the corporate level, also referred to as the strategic level. And the work of strategic level is to come up with policies. Then we have the business level or the tactical level. And lastly, we have the operational level or the functional level. So the goal of supply chain management is to link the components of supply chain in a manner that ensures that the market demand is met effectively and efficiently. Remember, we are saying what normally controls the market is the forces of demand and supply. So supply chain should be able to create a balance both on the demand side and the supply side. And these strategies also must be customer driven, whereby you are doing all things possible to ensure that you take into consideration what the customer is doing, or you are trying your level best to ensure that you satisfy your customers, so that your customers can become your greatest asset by retaining them. Organization must plan and coordinate supply chain activities in the network of suppliers and customers. So you need to try your level best as an organization to coordinate some supply chain activities, from warehousing, from logistics, from material handling, from operations. Every component of supply chain must be put in practice, or activities must be put in practice, to ensure that you satisfy your customers at the end of the day. Some of the tools small medium enterprises use in strategy formulation include technology. So you can use technology to your advantage, either by use of e-commerce support. You can also embrace inventory management by ensuring that your inventory are up to date. You don't have oversupply or undersupply of inventory. You also need to look at your distribution channel management, where we are talking about distribution channels, and we are also including the wholesalers, the retailers, and agents who work on behalf of the manufacturer. Then the distribution channel also looks at the flow of goods from the different intermediaries within the organization. And they ensure that we have an effective flow of products from the supplier up to the customer. Then the issue of quality customer service also is very important. And when you talk about quality customer service, you must ensure that you lock your customers with superior products, so that they can always come again and again to your organization. But the moment you start compromising the quality, then customers will always look for alternative sources. And once they look for alternative, then it means you as the organization, you are going to lose on your customers. You are going to lose on the revenue that comes from your customers. Therefore, the most important thing for organizations is to be able to lock your customers. And that is why many organizations have been able to use technology to their advantages, where when you go to these firms, they give you what is called loyalty cards. And the essence of our loyalty cards is that they'll be able to lock you as a customer so that anytime you think of buying something, you'll always look at that organization that is going to give you some points when shopping, so that at the end of it all, you'll be able to redeem these points and do your shopping from there. Then the other issue is human resource management. Every firm must have a human resource manager or officer for purposes of ensuring that they motivate their employees by recruiting the right people, by placing them, by training them, and by developing the employees so that they become better and better every day. Then the issue of innovation and growth is also very critical. And Porter looks at innovation and growth as the prevailing source of competitive benefits of the firm. The moment you become innovative, you come up with new ideas, then you become competitive in the market because you'll be creating pace for other organizations to follow the suit. Therefore, use technology to come up with new innovation, to come up with new ideas for that matter. Then we need to understand the concept of supply chain strategy in organization. Then when we talk about the concept of supply chain strategy, we are looking at the design of supply chain. What is the design of supply chain management? And design also, we need to look at issues like capacity of the facility. What do you have in terms of capacity that will make you to be advantageous or will make you to be competitive in the industry? You're also looking at the number and size and the location where you've placed your business. You need to place your business in a strategic location so that every customer is able to locate your premise and come and buy from you. You also need to make some decisions that are very critical, whether to buy or make. And this is normally referred to as the make or buy decision. But before you make that decision, you need to do a cost-benefit analysis of the cost of making and the benefits of making, and the cost of buying and the benefits of buying. If one benefit exceeds the other, then you go for the other option. So making means that you're making internally instead of buying from external sources. If making is cheaper than buying, then you can go with the option of making your own product. And if buying is cheaper, then you can decide to buy. Then the other important concept is also to build relationships with other key stakeholders in the organization. This will help you to enhance your growth and sustainability in the long run. Remember, you need to survive. Your business needs to survive for a very long period. And the issue of sustainability is also very, very important. And John 2006 envisaged that a firm must decide on positioning in supply chain and on strategic forecasts of supply chain relationship positioning. So you need to build relationships for purposes of collaborating so that at least you have collaborations with the smaller and bigger businesses. And partnering is very, very critical. And partnering creates what is called a win-win situation for both the organizations, because all organizations will benefit from the same. So what is the characteristic of strategic decisions in organizational supply chain? Small medium enterprises differ from large organizations in several ways, but the most notable is the organization structure, which influences decisions. So you realize that small medium enterprises do not have a well-structured organization. Therefore, it might influence their decision. Maybe the owner of the business is the main decision maker. But when you look at large organizations, their decisions are structured. They have a well-structured uh, organization structure, which makes them to at least have a better way of making decisions. And when small medium enterprises, you find that all the decisions are centralized in one person or the owner of the business, and that is very, very bad. But when you look at these big organizations, you find that sometimes they can also hire the services of consultants who can assist in making strategic decisions for benefit of the organization. Then we're also looking at internal and external integration on bigger organizations. Because of their capacity, they can be able to collaborate internally and also externally with other key stakeholders. And this is for purposes of harmonizing their decisions. And also, when you look at these big organizations, they have a structured flow of supply chains in that they have different functions that work for them. For example, they can have inventory management, they can have logistics, they can have operations, they can have production, and all those activities are combined together to work in a seamless way. But small, medium enterprises, because of the size of the organization, it becomes very difficult for them to embrace that. Then let's look at the different levels of strategy in organization. And remember, we talked about the hierarchy on the levels of the business levels, where we have the first level is the corporate level. And the corporate level is normally at the top of the hierarchy or the pyramid, where their main focus is to come up with policies that will help to drive the company in the long term. And the other name for corporate level is top management, or sometimes we talk about the strategic level. And it is made up of the CEOs and the top directors in the company. And they come up with various strategies or the missions that will give direction to the organization in the long run. And their main focus is to look at the business in the next like 10 to 15 years. What do they want to achieve? What is the future of the company? Once they understand that, they will come with various policies that will drive the business into the future. And that's why we said if your corporate level is not effective, then it will affect the business, both in terms of strategy and in terms of operations in the near future. So you need to have key strategic plans at that level. And once they come up with those policies, they'll be able to communicate the policies downwards to the organization. And here we are talking about issues of blue whip effect. What do you understand by blue whip effect? Yes?
Come up again. The what effect?
The blue whip effect. Yes?
That one I don't know.
Blue whip effect. Let's confirm. Then we have the business level. This business level strategy aims at the ways the business competes in the industry, which has several players. So they are trying their best to look at how they are going to operate in the industry, and also they will be able to maintain their competitive advantage in the industry. And that is why when you look at most organizations, they have a whole department that is doing research on behalf of the organization, so that they come up with new ideas, they come up with new ways of doing things, so that at the end of the day, they are not caught unawares with their competitors. So they try their level best to improve, to continuously improve their processes every day, so that they become better and better, so that the customers are able to experience the same again and again. Then we have the functional or operational level. This is the level that supports most of the processes within the organization. And they are at operational level, they are trying their level best to come up with activities that are in line with what the organization is doing. And by the end of the day, they'll be able to support the vision of the organization. And according to Porter's value chain model, he looks at the 4 R's of supply chain management. And the first R is responsiveness. So they need to respond to what is happening in the industry. And responsiveness also looks at they need to comply with what is happening in the industry. Then the other thing is reliability. They need to be reliable, in that at the end of the day, customers will look at how reliable you are, so that they can always come to you again and again. Then the issue of resilience also is very important. And resilience here, we are looking at cases where, in case of an event that is happening, are you going to remain consistent in what you do? Then the issues of relationships also are very, very important. You need to build relationships both in the long term and in the short term. And these relationships will help you to grow as an organization. Failure to do this, then it means you might end up not being effective in the organization. Then the main focus basically is to create value to customers in the supply chain strategy. So the other thing we need to look at is formulation and implementation of strategies in supply chain management. So you need to come up with the strategies. And once you come up with those strategies, you also need to come up with ways of implementing those strategies. And the main focus is to ensure at the end of the day, you are in line with the goals of the organization, which is profitability and sustainability of the business. And as much as you're getting profits and you're sustainable, you also need to look at the ultimate customer, so that as much as you're making profits, make sure you do not lose your customers in any way. Let not your customers feel that they are not valued in the organization, and this will affect everything that happens in the organization.